singing.
Shabbat Shalom to all of our wonderful ECC students. Together we say how amazing it is to be together today. Hine ma tovu manayim, shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shever achim gam yachad.
We sing Shabbat, and we're going to clap 4 times. It's going to be like this. We sing Shabbat, 1, 2, 3, 4. We sing Shalom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. We sing Shabbat, clap, 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 clap. We sing Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. Now we're going to do the blessing over the candles. Lechadlik Neshel Shabbat. We bless the Sabbath lights. Lechadlik Neshel Shabbat. We bless the Sabbath lights. We sing Shabbat. We sing Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We sing Shabbat, clap, 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 clap. We sing Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Now we're going to do the blessing over the grape juice. Borei Peri HaGafen. We bless the Sabbath grape juice. Borei Peri HaGafen. We bless the Sabbath grape juice. We sing Shabbat, 1, 2, 3, 4. We sing Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We sing Shabbat. We sing Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Now it's time for the motzi or the challah. Ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. We bless the Sabbath bread. Ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. We bless the Sabbath bread. We sing Shabbat. We sing Shalom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We sing Shabbat. We sing Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my head. Up in my head. Shake your head. Up in my head. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my head. Up in my head to stay. How about in my shoulders? I've got that Shabbat feeling in my shoulders. In my shoulders. In my shoulders. Got that Shabbat feeling in my shoulders. In my shoulders to stay. In my arms, everybody wave your arms. I've got that Shabbat feeling in my arms. In my arms. In my arms. I've got that Shabbat feeling. fingers, in my fingers. Got that Shabbat feeling in my fingers, in my fingers to stay. In my hips, side to side, got that Shabbat feeling in my hips, in my hips, in my hips. I got that Shabbat feeling in my hips, in my hips to stay. In my knees, crazy knees, got that Shabbat feeling in my knees, in my knees, in my knees. Got that Shabbat feeling in my knees to stay. In my feet, run in place, I've got the Shabbat feeling in my feet, run in place, in my feet, in my feet. I've got that Shabbat feeling in my feet to stay. All over me, wiggle your whole body. I got that Shabbat feeling all over me, all over me, all over me. I got that Shabbat feeling all over me to stay. Last one, deep in my heart, I've got that Shabbat feeling. Deep in my heart, deep in my heart, deep in my heart. I've got that Shabbat feeling. Deep in my heart to stay.
The prayer Shema is all about God, all about how God is one and how we need to listen in order for us to hear God. But many of you ask me, Rabbi Lutz, what is God? Who is God? How do we understand what God is? So if we take this word Shema and we break it down, we can learn a little bit about God and about what Shema teaches us about God. So that first syllable of the word Shema, shh, everyone go shh. Shh is the sound that reminds us to be quiet. It reminds us of the first word Shema, listen, and that sometimes we need to quiet ourselves down and just listen to hear God. Now the second syllable, is the sound we make when we eat something really yummy, like really good macaroni and cheese, or maybe a really good grilled cheese sandwich. It's the sound we make when we feel safe and comfortable. That's the feeling that we should feel when we feel God in our lives. And that third syllable, ah, now that's the sound we make when something amazing happens. We go, ah, wow, that's so amazing. So by putting those three syllables together, shh, and ah, we can be reminded when we say Shema of God in our lives and how we feel when we feel God in our lives. We continue with Shema.
So here we go. We can cover our eyes and we can sing Shema together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Get ready to dance and sing our song of freedom. Standing at the sea, mi chamocha. Standing at the sea, mi chamocha. Standing at the sea, mi chamocha. Freedom's on our way. Singing and dancing, singing and dancing. Mi chamocha, singing and dancing. Mi chamocha, singing and dancing. Mi chamocha. Freedom's on our way. Freedom.
guys know all of the stuff that we need in order to celebrate Sukkot? We have the sukkah, that big hut that we sit in, and we have the lulav, that thing that we shake, and then we have the etrog, the thing that it looks and it smells like a lemon, except it's really bumpy and it's really strange, and it has this little thing that sticks out from the end of it. Well, I don't know if you know this, but the etrog, that little lemony thing, they're actually really, really hard to get. And one year, way back in the day, there was almost no etrog to be found across all of the land, except in this one village. The rabbi was able to get his hands on a single etrog for the entire town. Well, this was a really special etrog because you needed it to perform the mitzvah of shaking it together and being in the sukkah. So the rabbi, in order to be fair, he wanted to make sure that everybody got their turn to hold the lulav and shake the lulav and the etrog together. Well, one day, right when Sukkot was about to start, there was this young kid who was the rabbi's assistant, and he didn't want to have to wait in line for absolutely everybody else to hold and shake the lulav and the etrog first. So he figured, you know what? I'm going to get up really early in the morning on the first day of Sukkot, and I am going to be the very first to shake the lulav and the etrog together. Well, that morning, he snuck into the rabbi's office very, very quietly, trying not to make a sound. And he got to the rabbi's desk, and he opened up the box where the etrog was, and he took the lulav and he took the etrog, and he was so excited he could barely contain himself, and all of a sudden, he dropped the etrog right out of his hands and onto the floor. And when the etrog hit the floor, that little tiny bit on the end of the etrog, the pitom, broke off. Well, this is bad news, because if that little pitom, if that little etrog end breaks off, it's no longer kosher for you to use for Sukkot. And this was the only etrog in the entire town. Well, this kid was very upset with himself and very embarrassed. What was he going to do? Well, he decided to own up to his mistake, and he waited for the rabbi to come in that morning. When the rabbi did, there he was, standing with the lulav and standing with the broken etrog in his hand. And the rabbi was known for being a really, really nice person. And when the rabbi saw this kid so sad and so upset with himself for breaking the etrog, the rabbi goes up to him and says, "How wonderful it is that God would inspire you so much that you wanted to be the very first to perform this mitzvah. For that reason, nobody's upset with you. What you did isn't exactly okay to cut in line in front of everybody else, but I understand where you were coming from and that you were really excited. And so if you say you're sorry to the whole town, then everybody will forgive you." Well, sure enough, that little boy, he was really happy that the rabbi had such a nice response. So he got up in front of the town that morning and he apologized, and everybody came up to him and gave him a big hug and said, "That's okay." The end.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We hope that you had an amazing time with us today. We had an amazing time with you. And we can't wait to see you every single week right here as we celebrate and prepare for Shabbat. So remember, when you go home tonight, ask your parents for the candles, for the Kiddush cup with grape juice, and the challah. You need those 3 things every single week to celebrate Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you next week.